tier lists are often used by players when determining whether to use certain characters in a game or not, to decide whether or not to pour their hard-earned EXP and skill upgrades into the meta characters or your favorite characters who just happen to fall short of being considered good. Using meta characters will carry you through content, but then you'll leave your favorite waifu or husbando characters in the dust. It's hard to train everyone because gathering resources takes time and sometimes money. I've chosen the hardest path to take in a video game, and that is to go with my waifu of choice instead of the meta pick. And my lovely waifu character that'll be turning into an absolute OP monster is Billy. Billy has been placed under many ZZZ tier lists as one of the weakest characters to use, like he's on every single one at the bottom. And it's pretty sad because how can you not want to use this guy? He's lovable, he's wacky, and he's got a butt? God damn. Many cite his lack of utility, and pretty much all that he can do is pure damage as being his biggest cons, but hey, the best form of crowd control is death, so as long as I build Billy to be a killing machine, nothing else will matter. I am willing to give Billy a good shot and make him, you know, work. To prove to everyone he's not just a low tier pick, but he can actually, you know, carry me through the endgame content. Here is my attempt to make Billy go from one of the low tier characters to making him an absolute powerhouse in ZZZ. Oh, and I'll be playing the whole entire game guideless, so I'll be looking up no builds or anything for any character or Billy. Everything will come from my own research and from my own head, so it could be for better or for worse. Also, I'm typically not a numbers guy. I really don't do all the cracking of all the skills and the damage that can be, you know, outputted by every character and whatnot. But what I do know is that bigger damage numbers mean enemies will die quicker. Okay, so when I was accepted into the last ZZZ beta, I was actually maining Billy in the beta, but when I entered the main game, I decided to use Corrin as my main character because I didn't really get a good chance to use her during the beta, so because of that, I've invested heavily into Corrin, and my Billy is currently unbuilt, so it's time to take some time to level him up, otherwise he'll do nothing for damage. Luckily, I had a bunch of material lying around to get Billy to the current max level that I have, which is 40, and I ended up using my stamina potions for the day to get a bit more progress in, so I sacrificed a lot to get my boy strong. And after using almost everything I had to get his skills up to max level as well, and the current level to 40, I really hope he's worth it. I really hope the series pays off, or else I'm gonna waste all these materials. And I was originally gonna save all these resources for Ju Young too, so no. Of course, without the W engines or drives to make Billy stronger, he's kind of just doing, you know, peanuts for damage right now. W engines being the weapons of the game, and drives are like the artifacts of Genshin that are used to help increase the stats of a unit. So let's get those onto him. I decided to use for the W engine the Starlight engine, which sounds a little redundant. I like to use the dodge counter often, so getting a 12% increase in attack for 12 seconds is pretty big for Billy, and it seems like there's no restrictions on the cooldown, so if I just keep juggling the dodge counter, then he'll have an endless supply of 12% attack increase. Now for drives, this was the tough part. You can have up to 6 drives for a character, but you need 2 or 4 pieces of a set to activate the set bonus. 2 gives you a nice little bonus, but 4 gives you access to all the great benefits of a set. And with so many drive sets, it might take you a second to determine what's the best set for each character. I'm thinking with Billy, we either build him with Fanged Metal or Woodpecker. Fanged Metal is focused on physical damage, so more consistent damage, whereas Woodpecker is focused on critical. Having 2 pieces of Fanged Metal will help you increase your physical damage by 10%, but having 4 will increase the damage dealt on a target by 35% when they're inflicted by Assault. And Assault is one of the build-up damages of the game, so if you hit a target with enough physical attacks, it'll blow up the enemy with a huge physical damage. On the other hand, Woodpecker with 2 pieces increases your critical rate by 8%, and with 4 pieces, whenever you land a critical hit with a basic attack, dodge counter, or EX special, it'll increase Billy's damage by 9% for 6 seconds, so a lot of damage. Billy has 2 guns, so he's able to achieve critical hits sooner than most people. Actually, I made that up. I don't think it actually has any bearing on the gameplay. For today, I decided to just try out Fanged Metal, and the damage from Billy is doing some work right now, so it's much better than him doing peanuts for damage. Once I have stamina, I'll start hunting for some Woodpecker pieces. At the end of day 1, my Billy's damage has improved, but we need to go a bit further. I can't progress anymore on day 1, so I plan for day 2. So I decided to look at team comps, and I'll be going with the full Cunning Hares team, using Anby as my stun unit and Nicole for support. When Billy has either another physical unit or someone from the Cunning Hares faction on the same team, his ultimate will get a 50% increase after using a chain attack, stacking up to 2 times. So meaning things will die quickly. Anby doesn't really need much of an explanation. Her goal is to stun enemies so that way they can be dazed to take more damage. But Nicole, on the other hand, is kind of crazy, and let me explain why. Her EX special allows her to group up enemies, sucking them into this little black hole-like attack, great for crowd control. Her core skill enhancement allows her to shred the enemy's defense. She can reduce the enemy's defense by 30% for 3.5 seconds if she's able to hit the enemy with any of her enhanced bullets. And at max level, it will be 40% instead of 30, so that's a massive reduction. For Nicole's W engine, I decided to use the Reverb Mark III. After using a chain attack or ultimate with Nicole, it'll increase all the squad members' attack by 12% for 10 seconds, but it only happens every 20 seconds. Nicole just gives out so much damage. I love her so much. She's just a wonderful character. However, a big thing I noticed when heading into day 2 is that, my Nicole is not built at all. Yeah, she has her character level at 30, which isn't bad, but the worst part is all of her skill levels are at 1, and she didn't have any drives? How did I make it this far without noticing this? So instead of having to work on Billy today, I'm probably gonna have to work on Nicole instead. But so far, my Billy's damage is feeling pretty good right now, and I'm happy about that. Okay, I got her skills up, but I realized she needs to be level 35 in order to increase it further, so it's time to keep working on more Nicole. With the skills up finally, we can now work on getting drives. It is a bit of a detour from the whole building Billy to be an OP monster, but it's okay. It's a marathon, not a sprint. One of the biggest keys to playing Billy, though, is that even though he has guns to keep range, you can't be too far from the target. If you are, then your damage will drop off massively, so it's a lovely dance between keeping the distance between your enemy and you at a good range where you can actually deal good damage. And I think I saw a 9k crit in there somewhere, but I shouldn't get too excited because of this stage special effect. The damage of special and EX specials are increased by 100%. Damn it, and I really thought my Billy was that strong already. And luckily, we farmed enough drives to get the bonus of having a 4-piece set of Swing Jazz. 2 pieces increase the energy regen by 20%, so I'll be able to use the EX specials more often. But with 4 pieces, when launching a chain attack or ultimate, everybody in your squad's damage increases by 15% for 12 seconds. Nicole is gonna make Billy an absolute monster with damage. At this point, I remembered that Nicole's core skills increase her defense shredding, but I needed more stamina to run stages for materials for her. And let me tell you guys, I was a little bit tempted to use my currency to turn it into stamina, but luckily, I actually used my brain in the moment and stopped myself. Ju Yun will be coming out soon, and I cannot skip out on her. I want her so badly. So, that's the end of day 2. Now, there's one more important piece of the puzzle, and that is the final member of the team. But Ko, we already have 3 members. You can't have 4. This isn't Genshin. Instead of having 4 playable members, we have 3, and we have Bang Boos, which are basically non-playable characters. They're so cute. Look at these friend-shaped guys. Choosing the right Bang Boo to help me will be very important. These little guys can dish out a little bit of damage, but I'm not looking for damage. Instead, we want a support-based one. I've chosen Boo Resher, which also, I really love their names, by the way. It's really cute, silly names they have. Now, the problem with Boo Resher is that he's got 8 more seconds on his cooldown compared to the S-rank Bang Boos, which isn't the end of the world. Every 26 seconds, I can get a massive burst of energy, so I'll take it. Now that we've reached day 3, it's time to test around Billy's damage a bit. And he is going off with the damage right now. But of course, he'll never outshine Anby because she's primarily on the field to stun everyone first before he swapped in to do the damage and finished him off. Look at him, like, he's like dancing right here. He's got like a little wave going on. Get it, Billy! We start today off by petting the cat for good luck as we're off to hunt for critical drives. With every Hoyo game, the biggest grind and painful part of playing is getting the right drives and artifacts with the best stats. Today, we are hoping for 1 critical drive to drop from the stage and not the defensive ones. While getting some defensive ones isn't the end of the world, using our stamina for criticals is kind of, critical. Because of the daily limitation on stamina, I want to make sure I get the best one as soon as possible. But I also like using Ben on the side, so getting defensive ones isn't the worst thing ever, so maybe a Ben series one day. And 2, not only are we hoping for critical drives to drop, but we're also hoping that they have good stats and good substats. So if we can get a crit rate up, or even better, a crit damage increase, that'll make my life a lot easier. Okay, please, come on, give me some good stats. Oh, come on! Please, I'm begging you, just some good okay, we'll take this. This isn't so bad. And this was on the very last run of the day 2. There's like no more stamina, so of course we get the best of the bunch on the last one. On the positive side, we have at least 4 pieces of woodpecker, so critical damage is gonna go crazy now. Seeing numbers go up is always a great thing. We just need to rearrange some drives around, and I feel bad, but am I really about to defile Corrin's drives? Of course I am. Am I really about to defile Anton's? Yeah, you too, sorry buddy. Our Billy is looking stupidly thick in terms of damage, not he's still a stick. And I decided to try out some level 40 stages, so this rally stage was a good chance to see how Billy's damage racks up. And I'm gonna be real here, his damage feels stupidly strong. Knowing how my team works with swapping people in and out for the right moments for buffs, stuns, and damage was coming full circle here. And it feels good when you're able to beat the current level content that you're at, so I'm feeling really good right now. After that, I decided to try the Notorious Hunt stages where you basically fight tough bosses. These stages give you upgrade materials for core skills, so that means more crit damage for Billy. And one of the biggest achievements of this account so far is being able to beat this boss under 4 minutes, which is really huge for me. I wasn't able to have a unit that was this strong before. We took the low tier Billy, and now we're making him an absolute powerhouse for the account. In training mode, Billy is doing numbers. A good crit will get him around between 6,000 to maybe 12k, but of course this isn't the hardest content of ZZZ. Shiyu Defense is one of the hardest things next to Hollow Zero. Shiyu Defense is known for being difficult because of the time limit imposed onto you. If you don't clear fights fast enough, you'll get a lower rating. And lower ratings means less reward, but also it just feels like you don't really get a proper clear if you don't have a higher rating. And Hollow Zero is hard in its own right. It's basically a roguelike mode where you get some nice bonuses along the way, but the fights can be pretty tough. So, although my Billy is popping off right now, the real test is to get him into one of these stages. And only then can we really say Billy is not a low tier unit. So in the future, let's see if we can make Billy even more stronger.